Hello and welcome to this edition of Dirt Talk with Drake York, and I got National Midget star Holly Shelton on the show. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Today's show will be presented by Tommy Hurst's Vintage Race Cars and Smith Racing. Once again, driver of the Keith Kunz Racing 67K. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Holly Shelton on the show. Holly, how were you first introduced to the sport of racing?
My dad, I've been going to the track since I was born. My dad crew chiefed on multiple sprint cars. And he didn't think about girls racing, but there's a track in Sacramento called RPM, Indoor Go-Karts. And my sister and I took a liking to that, and he bought us a go-kart. And from there, the rest is history.
I know you're a very young racer, so how many years have you been racing and how old are you now?
I'm 21 right now. I've been racing since I was 12. I quit all other sports to race probably when I was about 16.
What other sports did you play before you started racing?
I played basketball, tennis, and soccer.
So, 2015 at Cyclone Speedway. Oh my God, you set the world on fire almost. 8 main event wins, second in points. What was that season like for you?
I mean, going into the year, I was itching for a win, and the first one we clicked off that one, and they just kept coming, and we ran up front every week, and the car was perfect. And it was just an ideal year for me.
Who were your favorite drivers growing up at the racetrack?
Growing up locally, I've always liked watching Sean Becker, your dad, Jason York.
Did you think to say that so you wouldn't hurt my feelings?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, that's good to know. You're teamed up with probably the greatest midget team of modern day racing, Keith Kunz Racing. What is it like being teamed up with such a great team like that?
You know, you think about it and you're in there and you're like, you don't realize it until you're in there that you're like, wow, I drive for such a prestigious team. Like Chili Bowl, everyone's surrounding the car, it's roped off, and just to think that you'll be in it is just absurd.
How was your 2016 season for you?
2016 started out jumping from go-karts to midgets. It was pretty difficult. No power steering in go-karts like there is in midgets. There's suspension, and without the wing, you have to drive it in harder on the right rear. So I learned a lot. So from the beginning to the end of the year, I drastically improved and could run top 5.
This year, obviously running with the National USAC Midget Tour, you went to a lot of new tracks. What was it like going to lots and lots of new racetracks?
I mean, it was difficult learning because I haven't been there before, so learning the characteristics of the track, where to run, what it gets like. But it's also at the same time, it's really cool to run at tracks that I grew up at, like Calistoga, or watched Eldora. Just places like that. It was just insane to be there.
What was your favorite track out of all those? I know you've ran a bunch of them this year.
There is a track in Wisconsin called Sun Prairie, and that's probably my favorite track. We ran top 5 there. And then I'd say Eldora in Calistoga as well.
Speaking of Eldora, earlier this year, you tied the USAC national record for best finish by a female driver with the top 5 finish. How big of that accomplishment was that for you?
I mean, going to Eldora, it was pretty intimidating. I've been there and watched the cars go around, and watching them go around is pretty intimidating. And then you get in it and you're like, oh wow, that's not that bad. But to run top 5 at Eldora, I never thought I'd be able to say that.
Now, you gotta tell us, what is it like running the wall at Eldora? We must know this.
Well, I mean, in qualifying, I actually hit the wall. Qualifying was pretty sketchy, should I say. And so I got a piece of the wall, then you gotta respect it. You have to run it hard, but you also have to respect it at the same time.
Do you plan on running Chili Bowl in 2017?
Yeah, I do. This will be my first Chili Bowl. I've watched them the last 2 years, and to be here is just insane.
What do you expect it to be like at the Chili Bowl?
Chili Bowl, I mean, since it's my first year, I just want to get some experience, and I mean, I have the teammates I have are incredible. So just to learn from them and hopefully make one of the upper features, so that'd be ideal.
What is your plan for 2017?
2017, I'll run the full year with Keith Kunz again. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some sprint car stuff going out here on the West Coast, and maybe a little bit of stock cars.
So you just mentioned sprint cars there. Do you want to, or you said you have plans to run a sprint car, right?
Hopefully.
Who's the hopefully team owner in this?
We're not positive yet, but my dad's been working on some stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you when, if you do drive a sprint car.
Yeah.
That should be pretty
Yeah,
cool to watch you. Where in racing would you ultimately like to wind up?
I mean, anywhere. Like I just love to race. I mean, dirt is my absolute favorite. I've tried my hand a little bit at some pavement practicing, and I mean, the money's in pavement racing, but I love dirt. So I mean, racing dirt for the rest of my life, pavement, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, NASCAR, that's the ultimate goal.
Your dad, Larry Shelton, has worked on a lot of World of Outlaws race cars. How much has he taught you about cars and how they work, and how much setup tips has he given you?
Well, my Outlaw cart, I maintenance that completely by myself. He taught me everything. He taught me how to do motor maintenance. I could build you a cart, but so he makes sure I know my stuff before I go out and race.
Do you ask drivers for advice, and if so, who?
People that have been super influential to me include Kyle Larson, Rico Abreu, Tanner, my teammates mostly. I'm not afraid to ask questions and ask for advice.
Where do you live during the race season? Because I know the midgets usually don't come out in California. Can't talk. California much.
I have an apartment out in Columbus, Indiana. It's about 45 minutes south of Indianapolis. So during February to October, I'm in Columbus, and in the winter, I'm here.
I know you have a racing app. What can the fans, still can't talk, what can the fans find there once they download the app?
This year, my friend Justin Stevenson worked on an app for me, and it'll have such things as my schedule, photos, way to contact me. So, I mean, it's cool to interact.
That is really cool. I don't think I've heard of anyone else that has their own racing
Neither have
app.
I. It was new to me.
Do you see yourself as an inspirational or role model for girls?
I mean, I'd like to think that. I do my best to be a good role model for younger racers, boys and girls. I just want to show girls that they can do it too. I know it's a male predominant sport, but girls can do it too.
What has been your biggest accomplishment in all of your racing?
Just to say I've made it to this level, to race with such a prestigious team, is an accomplishment in itself. I mean, that year at Cycling in 2015 is also big on my list. And to run top 5 at tracks like Eldora and Calistoga, that's just cool to say.
This year you ran a couple more races out at Cycling Speedway. What was it like to come back to cycling, after going out Midwest and running all the midgets?
I mean, it was awesome to come back, see my friends. They're basically like family there. That's where I grew up. And to get back on the track there, I was a little rusty at first, but I mean, it's just an absolute blast going back to where you grew up.
Well, now it's time for the fan zone question from Tim Hogan. He asked, are you still planning on becoming a police officer? I believe you went into some justice, something like that school.
Yeah, I'm a criminal justice major at Sacramento State. I'm continuing my education and racing at the same time. I mean, ideally I'd want to be a race car driver professionally, but if that doesn't work out, I'd love to be a police officer or something with the FBI.
That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
just as a backup plan.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to make it anyway. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Oh, and also, next year, we will be offering 2017 sponsor packages for this show if you would like to be a part of the show.